Hello, family. I hope you are doing well. It's Pastor Derek coming your way again with part two of our series this week on your marriage and mental health. Today, we look at thought health. That means the health of your thinking abilities. How healthy is your thinking? Okay, how healthy is your thinking? Thought health. So thought health looks at the condition of your thought patterns and mindset. Okay, so we look at the lens with which you interpret your environment, events, and the circumstances around you, the lens with which you see things. Okay, so let's say when you look at the traffic light, for every normal person, we see it as when it's red, you stop. Okay, but for some people, due to whatever conditioning, whatever experiences they've had, or if they may not be feeling too well, they may see the red, and whilst everyone else is seeing it as stop, they will interpret it as go. Okay, because the interpretation is different. So the lens with which you see things are very different. That is why, for example, when you look at the cultures between, let's say, the African culture and the Caucasian culture. The Caucasian culture doesn't have any problem expressing love in the open. They can kiss their wives or their husbands in public, and there's nothing wrong with it. But the typical African culture, because the lens is different, okay? But this is just the cultural perspective. But when we come to the thought health, we look more at the behavioral perspective. Your interpretation, how you interpret things, determines how you behave and how you accept responsibility and how you interpret the behaviors of others, depending on how healthy your interpretation of events and situations are. Okay, so, and this eventually affects the quality of your marriage, because if you are interpreting things in a negative way or in a wrong way, then it may make you act or react in a wrong way, and it sets the marriage on a wrong footing all the time. So you may argue all the time, fight all the time, just because some interpretation is not where it is supposed to be. It's not a healthy way. How does thought health manifest? It shows through the thought life control, how you are able to control what you are thinking. Are you able to control your thought? And that if you are thinking something and realize this is negative, you will say, no, this is not how to think. This is me feeling like this or thinking like this, but it is not actually what it is. Okay, so negative thinking damages perception of your spouse, and it drives you to position yourself to react in a more negative way. Okay, so if you have a negative way of thinking that, okay, if your wife cooks and maybe it takes 1 hour to cook, then it means that she's putting something bad into it. That is why she's cooking. Then you begin to react in a way that every time she cooks and it goes beyond an hour, you refuse to eat it because your interpretation has told you that there is something wrong in it. Okay, but you should be able to control and say, no, maybe it's taking long because the cooker is slow, or the process itself is a bit long, or maybe she's tired, so she's working a lot slower than it's supposed to be. Okay, so you should be able to control your thought. When negative ideas come in, you should be able to say, no, this is not right. I reject this. I control this. I want this. Okay, you should be able to tell your brain how to think and what to think. If you don't have that, and anything that comes in, especially when it's negative, you receive it and you run with it, then you may not be very healthy in your way of thinking. Okay, so a healthy thought life gives you the ability to balance how you view events, leading to a measured and fair reaction to events. Okay, so in 2 Corinthians 10:5 says that casting down imaginations. So a lot of time you imagine things. Oh, my wife came home late because she's been here. My husband said this because of this. Okay, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought. So all sorts of thoughts will be coming into your head. If you are healthy mentally, you should be able to capture certain thoughts and cast them out that this is not right. Okay, and if you are missing that, then maybe you may need to get help so you don't destroy your marriage. The second thing is the ability to renew your mind. Okay, your ability to renew your mind. Okay, your marriage will get better if you're able to change the way you think. So there is a way of thinking that you know that this pattern of thinking is creating more problems for me. But if you are healthy with thinking, you'll be able to sit down and assess that when I think like this, I act like this, and because I act like this, my marriage is going this way. So I am self-assessing, and I'm sitting and saying, no, I will stop thinking like this. I will change the way I think. I will begin to change think in a different way so that I will get a different outcome. That shows that you are a healthy person mentally. You are not stuck in the same system of thinking or way of thinking that is creating problems. In Romans 12:2, it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So even as Christians, we are expected to be able to renew our mind. If we have a certain way of thinking, wherever we learned it from, if we realize that the result is given us is not right, we should be able to renew our mind so that we'll be able to prove God's good will and God's good purpose for our marriages, which is beauty, peace, love, and joy. Okay, number 3 is the ability to avoid assumptions. Okay, ability to avoid assumptions. Sometimes it's very, very easy to just see one side of a story and decide that this is what it is. Now, if you are healthy, you have a healthy thought life, you always look at things from two sides. So you look at the pros and the cons. You look at what this person is saying, and can I hear the other side also, so that I'll be able to balance things. That is why we have justice. When you look at the courts of justice, they always have this way thing that has two sides. Okay, you have to put both sides on and then see if they measure up before you give judgment. But if you don't have a healthy thought life, what you do is that the first thing you hear, you run with it. You hear that somebody has gone to do this, you run with it. You don't take your time to listen to the other side, and it will always create problems for you in your marriage. If you're going to have a very good marriage, you should be mentally healthy enough to say that everything, I'll look at it from both sides. I'll take my time to investigate. I'll research more. I'll find out more so that I don't go ahead of myself. In Proverbs 18:17, it says, the first to speak in court sounds right until the cross-examination begins. So you have to cross-examine everything. You have to cross-examine everything. Okay, there was a time something happened, and then one party told me, oh, this person did this, that, and I became so angry at the person. How could the person do this, that? And then the Holy Ghost told me, listen to the person, call the person, and let them also tell you their version of events. And when I obeyed that, and the person now started telling me, I said, wow, I would have acted very, very wrongly if I had not listened to the Holy Spirit to listen to the other party's side of events as well. So if you are healthy, you always do this. You listen to the other side. You will not rush to conclusions. Okay, number 4 is guarding against anxiety. We live in a world that generates a lot of anxiety in our lives. Things may not go well, and sometimes you'll be afraid. I may lose my job, I may lose my home, this may be this, my health may be going this way. And Satan can build these things up in you so much that you will always be on the edge. You can never have rest because there's always be a fear that something bad is going to happen. Okay, but if you are healthy with your thinking, but you'll be able to understand that these are maybe I'm focusing on the wrong things, and it's making me on the edge all the time. So how do I regulate my thinking? Let me reprogram and cast out the things that are making me anxious so that I can realize, because anxiety is not good for me, for my marriage, for how I react. If you are always on the edge, you will always react in a way that will bring tension and problems in the marriage. Okay, so when you sense that you are worrying too much, you know that it will affect your marriage, so you will arrest that situation and deal with it. In Philippians 4:6, it says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your request before God. So if anything is worrying you at all, the right thing to do is to pray about it. Look for information if you can, and the things that are beyond your control, leave them in God's hands, and then go find some cup of tea and enjoy yourself. Okay, and then the final thing is a positive, faith-filled thinking. If you are healthy with your thinking, you would always try to control your brain and direct it towards things that will build you up, things that will give you hope, things that will give you rest, things that will give you joy, things that will give you faith, things that will drive you to do things that will give you better results, so that there will be peace and joy in your home. Philippians 4:8 is finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So control your mind and force your mind to think about good things about your wife, about your marriage, about your husband, about the future, and God will bless it. I pray that you will continue to grow in a healthy mind so your marriage will excel. God bless you till I come your way again. Bye bye.